Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome again to our series of webinars. It's the next episode of our webinar series that we started in November 2022. We have done a number of these sessions over the last year and a half, and we have yet another session focusing on Microsoft Dynamics 365 Finance. We did this session a deep dive of finance sometime exactly a year ago. We are bringing this again, while it may not be a deep dive in terms of all the functionalities and modules in finance, but a brief on that, as well as looking at what has transpired in the solution over the last 12 to 18 months and how some of these emerging technologies that we are all hearing a lot, generative AI, Copilot, how are these emerging technologies adding value to ERP users and people who I know some of you may already be using Dynamics 365 and some may be looking at Dynamics 365 as your ERP solution. So how does these generative AI technologies help in making your job efficient and effective? So a quick look at the agenda. We'll start off with a quick introduction about us, the solution consulting, and then look at our approach to digital transformation. When you are looking at moving to an ERP solution, how do you approach it? What are the key factors you need to look in? And then look at how the transformation is happening in D365 Finance. And generally, across most of these ERP functions, generative AI and these emerging tech is actively getting ingrained into ERP systems across all the solutions that we have, all the tier one solutions. And we'll look at how Microsoft is leveraging these technologies. And then I'll pass it on to my colleague, Mr. Venkatesh, who would do the deep dive and talk about these technologies, talk about use cases, and look at how these transformative technologies are helping organizations. And then towards the end, we will have a Q&A session. We will keep it to the end, but if you have questions as you go through these presentations and demo, if you have questions coming in, please do type it in the chat window. We will answer them, generic questions, we'll answer them in the chat window itself. But if there are technical questions, my colleague Venkatesh and a couple of other colleagues that we have on the call, they will help answer those live at the end of the session. We're looking at roughly 2 hours. My introductory session for the next 10-15 minutes, and then we'll have roughly an hour with Venkatesh going through D365 Finance, and then we'll keep the last half an hour or so for Q&A. So with that, before I get into our introduction, these are all the sessions that we have done. This is our 8th in the series. All of these sessions have been recorded. They are available on our website. If you want to look at the deep dive that we've done for finance, supply chain, project operations, healthcare vertical, we did a deep dive session. We did a session on HR and payroll solution. Also, we did an in-person session with Microsoft in their office as well. And then we have this session on financial excellence with emerging technologies in ERP. So do check out those videos if you want to look at a deep dive on Dynamics and other modules that we have within Dynamics. Today, our focus will be on D365 Finance and look at how these emerging technologies are shaping up the ERPs. Quickly about us, we are the solution consulting. We are a gold Microsoft implementation partner, have been around for 8 years now. But our co-founders, both of them, Sobich and Joseph, as well as Sajir Abdulaziz, they come from Microsoft background. They've been in the space for more than 2 decades. Both of them have started off this organization 8 years ago, and We have delivered over 100 projects, more than 45 full-blown ERP implementations across the Middle East region, and we have not failed an implementation. We have been able to achieve 100% success as well as retain all our clients thus far. We are headquartered in Dubai with offices in Riyadh, Kochi, and Hyderabad. Kochi and Hyderabad are our delivery center with more than 100 people based out of our India offices, and then rest of us are mostly the senior members, project managers are based out of Dubai and Riyadh. Retail, healthcare, manufacturing, financial services, real estate. These are some of the industries that we have deep experience and expertise in. And if you are in some of these industries, we have enough and more use cases for you to look at. We'll be more than happy to share them after this session. And just quickly on our approach, I think that's one of the fundamental thing that has helped us achieve 100% success rate in our projects as well as retain our clients is building lifelong partnership. I think ERPs do not fail because of ERP implementations do not fail because of the product, but because of the ERP partner as well as the adoption at the client's end, the end users. These are two primary reasons why ERP implementations fail. And I think building that lifelong partnership, going through that journey with the organization, and I'll talk about the transformation in my next slide, give you a little more context in terms of why I'm calling this as a journey. That becomes extremely crucial for the success of an ERP implementation. Now, if you are looking at transforming your business, bringing a new ERP solution or upgrading to any other tier one ERP solution like Microsoft Dynamics, one of the fundamental thing, and this is something that has happened over the last uh, several decades, is ERP implementation was looked at more as upgrading your infrastructure, upgrading your application with the new ERP solution, but it goes beyond. And I think the future of ERP is essentially looking at what is underneath the iceberg. In this case, the business model transformation that you're looking at and the cultural transformation that you're looking at, those are the most critical aspects of an ERP transformation, of a digital transformation, where you either make or break. If your partner, if you as an organization are not ready to transform your business model and the cultural transformation that it would bring in, there is very high likely that the ERP implementation may not be a success. When you bring in ERP, there are a lot of process changes that you would bring in. There are a lot of new people who would be learning the systems. There's the culture of data that you need to bring in, data from your employees, partners, suppliers, and customers. If you are not harnessing this data, if you are not part of this evolution that you would be going through, there is a very high chance of failure. So it becomes extremely critical that once you're done with the infra and application upgrade, which nowadays roughly is around anywhere between 6 to 12 months, but the business model transformation and cultural transformation takes several years. It may take 2 to 3 years, 4 years, in some cases, in cases of large organizations. That journey has to be done, both for the organization as well as the partner that you're working with. TSC believes in this, and that's this transformation journey with our clients has helped us retain our early clients as well as implement successfully. Now, if you look at finance transformation, one of the most critical thing of transformation is looking back in terms of the evolution of ERP. Traditional ERPs were more focused on improving efficiency, streamlining operations, or reducing cost. But if you look at modern ERPs, with the emerging technologies, with AI, generative AI coming in, more and more ERP companies, Microsoft, SAP, Oracle, a lot of other tier two ERP solutions, they are increasingly focusing on effectiveness, getting the insights out of the data that you're harnessing within the system, getting the data from your customers, your partners, your vendors, and coming up with insights based on these data, looking at predictions based on this data, and eventually helping you grow. So improving efficiency, streamlining your operations, reducing cost is a base. You expect every ERP to do that. But what you need from the ERPs of the future is, can they help you become more effective? Can they help you become more agile? The world is highly, highly dynamic. There are disruptions that we have seen in recent past. Can your organization become more agile? Can you use data to prepare yourself and help drive growth in the longer run? Now, with that context, if you look at what is happening in finance, and also, yeah, this is something that I missed. One of the most critical thing for an ERP is, which again is transformative, is that of user experience. Earlier, companies were focused on developing the product and just making sure that all the processes are covered. As a user, companies were never bothered about how the user experience would be. Is the system that you're developing user friendly? Can they do what they are doing with existing processes and still make the best use of the ERP solution? That is something that is extremely important with modern ERPs, and Microsoft has centered this as the core for developing solutions. User experience is critical. I'll take an example of, we're all used to using Microsoft Excel for all our data related activities, whether it's data crunching, analytics, visualizations. We are all used to using Excel. Older versions of ERPs did not have the functionality to integrate Excel. People are so used to Excel. There used to be a lot of resistance in terms of adopting an ERP because you will have to forego your Excel sheets. Modern ERPs, D365 allows you to work parallelly with Excel. It allows you to copy paste your data into your ERP. It seamlessly connects with your ERP system so that you continue working on your Excel sheets and all your data gets updated in the ERP system, and vice versa. You can pull in data easily into an Excel sheet and run your analytics the way you were doing it earlier. And also the analytics engine that is there in terms of Power BI and Power Apps, it just allows you whole lot of functionalities that can help you run your analytics and data crunching within the ERP platform itself. Now, looking at the finance system, traditionally, as I said, it goes hand in hand with how the ERPs have evolved. We were looking at finance systems in the past where you just needed the finance to get organized. You needed your basic processes to be automated. You need your basic data to be in the system so that uh, everything is tracked within the system. That used to be in the past. But what we're looking today as CFOs and senior finance professionals, what we're looking to it today is real-time data coming from a single source, whether it's from your connection to the supply chain, sales, marketing, or HR, payroll. All of this data resides as a single source in one place so that everything is, you have a single source of truth and you have this data available real time. You can run your own analytics. You have the analytics engine where all the data is fed. You can run your analytics on your own. You don't have to rely on bringing in experts from analytics background to run analytics for you. You can draw your own insights. And with generative AI, it gives you insights based on your data. It looks at your past interactions and it throws out insights that you can actually um, use for your operations. And also looking at looking ahead, looking at how future could unfold, your cash flows, your payment predictions, your budgeting, your forecasting, all of these things based on your data. Generative AI capabilities today can help you have these predictive analytics available on the go for you. So these are some of the changes that we have seen and rapidly evolving over the last 12 to 18 months with ChatGPT and Copilot coming in. These are things that is happening real time and something that you can start in using them in your day-to-day life. As I said, Microsoft has been building these capabilities. There's a huge amount of investment that has gone in terms of building D365. So your next generation ERP is going to be intelligent. It's going to be autonomous. Finance, supply chain, commerce, HR, projects, all of these now come embedded with Copilot capabilities, generative AI technologies embedded. You have processes which run end to end across all of these modules. You have common data. You have the analytics foundation that's available for all of these. And then these are all modules. They come in modular format. Users use only the modules that they want to use. Rest of the ERP system, it won't be available for you. It won't be shown to you. You only see what you actually need to see in your day-to-day role, and it's extendable. There are hundreds of apps that are available on the app source developed by partners. You can easily integrate them for your specific industry, for your specific process. So that's how the entire solution is built. And then you have all these support applications from your Office 365 to collaboration through Teams, through the analytics engine in Power BI, Power Platform, low code platforms like Power Apps, Power Automate that help you develop your own apps in a jiffy. And then the whole sustainability is something that uh, is increasingly being in the radar for companies. So you're reporting from a sustainability perspective, ensuring that your ERP system captures all of these information for you. And then all of this is tightly integrated with the Copilot engine that Microsoft has just recently made available for general consumption. So that's how modern ERPs are evolving. And I think as we go through the rest of the session, you would be able to see how these technologies are transforming the finance function, and what are some of the interesting things that you can take note today and have more detailed sessions later on. We'll be more than happy to schedule in-person sessions with you to talk in more detail about these technologies and generally about D365 solutions. So thank you again for joining in. I will now hand over to my colleague Venkatesh to go through D365 Finance in more detail. And before I do that, it'll be very helpful to understand the demographics of the audience today. We have a quick poll. If you can respond to the poll, we just wanted to understand how many of you are very new to D365, how many of you are using D365 already or are fairly familiar. It just helps us as we navigate through the rest of the session. It'll just help us keep in mind as to how much of depth do we need to go through in some of the functionalities that we'll be talking today. Thank you again and hope you enjoy the session. Look forward to our continuing our interactions post this session as well. Thank you. Over to you, Venkatesh.
Thanks, Anish. Just an information, Anish and Venkatesh, we already have around more than 50 responses, and majority of the people, close to 70%, they already implemented uh, some version of Dynamics or are looking to
Okay.
implement Dynamics 365. Around 30% of them are over here to for a casual exploration of Dynamics 365, and very less percentage have never heard about Dynamics 365.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Ansh. Hope you can see my screen. Just to check.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Venkatesh, we can.
Yeah.
Go
Hi
ahead.
everyone, this is Venkatesh. So I'm the project manager working for the Solution Consulting. Today I'm going to show you all the capabilities of the Dynamics 365 Finance. So I'm going to take you to two different pictures. One is basically focusing on the functionalities features, and I'm also going to show you the reporting capabilities, which Dynamic 365 offers as a standard part of solution. So now, and the end of this solution, I'm also going to show you what are the recent automations which are given by Microsoft and what are the new Copilot features which are coming part of this solution along with finance. So on an overview, this is the agenda I'm going to show you. So one is on the overview, and we are talking about the general ledger module. So the details like how to manage your chart of accounts, how your fiscal calendars, how to manage multiple legal entities, currencies across the globe, how you are going to manage all that we're going to show in the general ledger. And we have budgeting, and the planning and control part is taken care in the budget module. And we have tax module which takes care of the global taxation, and it caters with the localizations for each country specific taxation where it covers globally. And we also have cash and bank management where it takes you through how you manage the bank and cash activities every day to day, and how you manage the reconciliations with advanced reconciliations and the manual reconciliations. And we go to the AP, the procurement cycle, managing the vendors, how their invoices are being managed and how their payment cycles are managed. And we also have vendor collaboration where we have a separate space where the vendor can view their invoices and submit the invoices and check their balances and all, which is directly getting integrated to F&O. And we also have accounts receivable module, so which is taking care of your O2C cycle, which is the order to cash cycle, catering to all your sales requirements, managing your customers, predicting their payments on time, raising the invoices to them, and receiving their payments. And we have credit and collections module, where you control the customers where they have a certain limits, how they are managed in the system. And once you have the credit and collection set up, and once they reach the certain limits, how the system behaves in holding them and release them once they reach the specific limits. So that is discussed in the credit and collections module. And we have fixed asset module where we discuss about your asset lifecycle, how you are going to manage the asset, and how do you do the acquisition, depreciation, and disposal or sale. And some small modules were also there, which are part of like expense management and AI and automation features. These are all the topics which we are going to go through. And as we know, the one Microsoft solution which offers to all these three solutions, like which is integrated inbuilt by Microsoft itself as a standard solution. So one is the finance and SEM, so which is taking care of the operations and your finance. And we have the Power BI where it takes care of the reporting and uh, dashboards, whatever the interactive dashboards you have. So where the data is automatically flowing from finance and supply chain, and all your features, whatever you have, is integrated with Microsoft Office. So you can download them by using the SharePoint and OneDrive portals. You can download the data and lively interact the data and paste the data in the Excel, and which will get automatically posted to Dynamics. So we have the retail where it takes care of product and category management, catalog management. If you have an retail store, so the complete retail solution takes care of that. So we also have supply chain management part of it, where it takes care of your procurement, sales, the master planning, managing your inventory in the product information management, and managing your inventory in the inventory management, and vendor collaborations, credit and collections, the WMS, warehouse management system, and TMS. So all these are under supply chain management. So we also have the HR part, which we call it as performance management. For the part of finance, it is taken care for consolidating when you have the legal entities across the globe, across different regions. So where you are taking the data and pulling it over one consolidating entity and taking the report on an overview level. So there we also have the budget and control. Budget planning is also based on your past data, and budget control is how you set up the expenses and every year on year budget, how you wanted to stop the expenses to get posted to a certain level. And we also have a very good tool called Management Reporter, where without the intervention of a technical consultant, you can design your own reports on your own, and which you can have use it in a day-to-day basis. So we also have the audit control options, and we have organization administration where you manage your business units and multiple uh, reporting structures and reporting trees which are managed under this model. So this POS is where point of sale, which is related to retail. So all the sales, sales returns, discounts, retails, and royalty shifts and income and expenses and order management is handled in the POS. So this is the overview. We also have the human capital management where it takes care of HR, and CRM where it takes care of sales, services, marketing, and field service. So, and at the end, we have the finance, which is linked to all these modules on the process of general ledger, asset management, tax, AP, cash management, AR, and project management and expense management. So whenever you have a financial posting across this will get posted to finance automatically since there is an integration in place since this is one ERP, one Microsoft. And now I'm going to take you through multi-company and workspace concept and feature management concept. So you can have multiple companies in the same entity where we can say it's an environment where there are multiple legal entities configured. So you can have an US entity, Indian entity, or any different country wherever your company is operating. And these can be configured in the same instance by just clicking on the corner. You can see that there is an option where you can just move with the multiple entities. So you can it's very easy to navigate you because since it is on the same screen. Okay, so we have a concept called workspaces where each module is linking to multiple workspaces. So for example, I'm showing you one, the fixed asset management. In this workspace, you can see what are all the assets I have created in the system, but which are not acquired, and how many of them are acquired this year, and how many of them are disposed this year. And when I click to all fixed assets, it will show me all the list of fixed assets which are there in the system, and I can create the depreciation proposal and fix this as journal directly from this workspace. So this is like a one space where you can access all the data related to one module using the workspace. So we also have analytics inbuilt in the system where you can see what is my book value by each fixed asset group and what are the details and what are my acquisition value, where I'm spending most of my amount and which equipment I need to take care of it more, and what is my future planning on based on my current spend, and what are the assets, how much I'm disposing right now in this period. And I can see all the fixed asset register below with all the details like what is my building, what is my current value of that asset, what is my accumulated depreciation, and what is my closing value. So at a single place, if somebody wants to do an analysis, they can just directly come to this workspace and come to analytics and check all the data. So like this, we can also have a dashboards which shows that what location has a highest amount of value in the fixed asset, because this is having an interaction directly with the Bing Maps, and it shows the data where my assets are located. So you can also see the capabilities based on the multiple languages as well, because this system is capable of maintaining multiple languages, multiple currencies, and for multiple locations. So you can also add some of the tiles for a particular workspace. For example, you wanted the fixed asset management workspace to have an extra tile which you can add by yourself, and you can set it up to what is the size you wanted for this tile, And once you have set, after that, we can also have a feature management. So Microsoft releases multiple features on a period of time. A certain feature may be relevant for a certain specific industry, and that is only relevant for them. That may not be relevant for your particular industry or for your business. So in this case, Microsoft recommends you to go to the feature management, check the feature, and you click all the features available for you will be listed, and from there you enable that feature, or you can schedule it on a particular date when you wanted this feature to be scheduled. So it gives you from which module this feature is available. And not only this will also have some of the features where it is specific to a certain country localization. Let's say an example, there is a requirement for maintaining the tax groups in a certain country, and that doesn't need for all the countries. So those kind of features are available in the features where you can enable them for a particular legal entity, and it gets enabled for the environment. So I am now enabling this feature. So by just clicking the enable now, it will get enabled. And now coming to the general ledger module. So these are the concepts which I am going to explain in deep for the GL module. One is how do you configure your chart of accounts? What is the relevance of having a chart of accounts? And I'm also going to explain you on the financial dimensions and what is the financial year and the concept of allocation, period close workspace, and easy year-end closing process, and the concept of subledger. So these are the concepts I'm going to explain in detail. Now coming to chart of accounts. So you can have multiple chart of accounts. For example, there is a requirement financially to maintain a different ledgers for a particular country. So the Dynamics 365 has that capability where you can maintain multiple country chart of accounts, or if you want one shared chart of account to multiple entities, that is also possible. So you can see now there is Brazil chart of accounts, Chinese, French, like this, Saudi Arabia. All these countries have the multiple chart of accounts configured. So one chart of account can be linked to one legal entity, or it can be linked to multiple entities. So the concept of shared chart of accounts is available. So if you see, we have scheduled the 4 series as the revenue accounts, and the 5 series we have copied the asset and expense accounts, and the 6 series have the all the expense accounts. So like this, we can configure the chart of accounts. And now coming to the financial dimensions. Financial dimensions are your further tracking of expenses by its nature or by multiple ways, where you wanted to track a specific expense or a revenue based on the multiple dicing of the data. Like you wanted to track from which region my sales are coming from, or which cost center where I'm spending more money on. So for these kind of dimensions you can create, which will go hand in hand with the chart of accounts, and the data is being captured, which will help you in taking the decisions. So you can create multiple dimensions. There are standard dimensions available in the system where it has the data automatically coming from the system. And we have a custom dimensions where you can create a particular values where you wanted to pick with the system. So these financial dimensions, you can create multiple values where I'm saying this either by a standard dimension, which will come automatically from the system when you create a value, or either ways you can create a custom value where each dimension can be created manually. So the linking of dimensions and along with the main account, we call it as accounting structure. So this is the setup where you manage the what are all the main accounts needs to have which dimension. For example, if you see in my first row, I'm mentioning that these set of range of dimension, I mean main account needs to have a dimension which is mandatory of certain values. So where you mention, and there is an option to mention that this particular dimension is not mandate for this range of accounts. So that you can configure it using the account structure. And when it comes to posting profiles, we can have multiple posting profiles, either for a vendor, customer, or inventory, where you can specify a certain group of vendors needs to have posting to certain accounts. So if you see here, I have configured it with a certain group where it shows that this is going to this summary account. Whenever there is an arrival or what is an offset account, it has to be defaulted. And what is a liquidity account for payments. And there is an option automatically settlement is also available, or can I cancel it? Yes or no. So you can create multiple posting profiles. Like for example, whenever there's a prepayments, you wanted it to go to a certain advance accounts. So that you can configure it here. Or whenever there is a retention, you wanted it to go to a different account, you can choose that. Whenever you are posting an invoice, you have an option to select which posting profile I wanted it to get selected. And based on that, the system will pick it up from there. The same way we have the multiple posting profiles available for customers as well. So one is I'm showing you on the general and the prepayments. There also I can set it up by group wise. And we have posting profile set up for the fixed assets where the I have multiple books of accounts and where I wanted the postings to be done to each main account for each book. Okay, if you see, I have kept book numbers as 150 straight line service life, and there I wanted the main account to be booked to this GL. And the same way you can make the depreciation where it wants to be posted, and when it comes of the disposal, how you wanted the system to track how it has to post for the prior year, how the depreciation where it has to post for this current year, and what is my the acquisition value to get posted, and where is my net book value, and all my depreciation adjustments to be posted. So based on this setup, every time when you post a entry, the system need not be selected which account I have to select, when the system will automatically select the accounts where it has to get posted. So this way it will avoid the manual clerical errors where you select by mistake a different main account and it gets posted to which is not necessarily supposed to go to that account. So the clerical errors will get reduced because the posting profile setup will eliminate all the manual selection. And the same way we have the posting profile set up for the item level. So where you decide the sales order level, which group, which item group has to go for which revenue account. When it is a cost of units where I wanted it to be transferred. And the same way we have for the purchase order and the inventory for production and all the transaction level. So I can either set it up by each item level, or I can set it up by a group level, or I can set it up for all my accounts. And now I have the concept of financial year where I can have multiple financial years across my globe. For example, I can in financial year for India is starting from April and is closing in March. So I can create one financial calendar, which is we call fiscal calendar, starting from April to March, and link it this financial calendar to that particular entity. And I also can have a multiple financial calendar where I have a US entity where it has a calendar year as the financial year and it starts from January to December. So I can keep that and link that fiscal calendar to the US entity and other fiscal calendar to the other entity. So it has a feasibility to maintain multiple fiscal calendars in the system. Okay, we have a ledger allocation rule. So for example, you wanted to allocate one particular expenses across 5 or 6 business units. So how do you do that? You create one allocation rule and allocate your advertising expenses. And how do you want the criteria to be set up? It is based on the entries, what I post to this particular main account. I wanted it to be allocated equally to my business unit. So I will select which main account I wanted to do it, and in the rule, I mention for this account where and all it is supposed to post. I will select multiple business units and I will give the allocation rule. So once you click the allocation rule basis and source is created, whenever you post a transaction to that particular main account, it's get automatically split up to those business units. And we also have accrual schemes available in the system. So when you have an advance or prepaid expenditures which you have already posted but which you wanted to allocate based on every month on month. So in this case, you can create one accrual scheme for your insurance purpose or your uh, visa expenses or similar to these expenses, whichever you have prepaid. So the system will automatically post the entry for all the months. Either you can use the accrual basis, whether for a calendar year or what frequency you wanted and when you wanted this to post, either in the beginning of the month or end of the month, how the calculation to be done. So once you set it up and once you create the first entry and link the accrual scheme, the system will automatically post all the accrual entries in the system. So this way you'll avoid to verify what expenses I have to create, and I have to create a schedule and post the entries every month on month. So this way you would avoid all that manual active entries and the calculations, which system will automatically do the calculation for you. And this is the general journal entry where you post the multiple JVs for multiple companies can be posted from here. And from here, you have an option to select the company where you can also do the intercompany journals. And by selecting the ledger type they have 5 options where you can do the posting related to customer, vendor, project, fixed asset and bank across the entities. So this is possible because the general entity is created such a way that it is linked to all the other modules which are available in the system. So from here you can, if you select a customer, it will give you option to select which customer you wanted to post an entry to. And this is shared across the company. And the good feature, whatever we have, is financial period close. I know that it is very tedious process to do the period closing for every month and then during the year for a finance team. So during that, you can capture all the list of tasks for one company and list it by user wise who is having to do which. For example, the AP team which needs to post all the invoices, we have to list, okay, this particular user going to post all the invoices for these 3 entities, and this particular team going to post all the JV related entries for this particular entities. So you can list down all your tasks, and at the end of the month you can see what are all my tasks which are still pending for due and what are all the total count of my tasks. So by seeing this workspace, the financial closing decision can be taken by a finance manager and check where they are lagging behind and get those things closed and go ahead to the next month. So you have by area wise, by module wise, you can create the tasks which will store, and you also have by person wise, the who is the responsible person for that particular tasks. You can see the number of tasks pending for from the particular user, and it will show the percentage completion also. And this is the overall full task, and this is the one time setup you have to do, and the system will do it for the rest of the months. And you can edit or you can change the tasks in case you wanted to change a responsible person in between, that can also be done here. So if you are a HR perspective and you go and check your own dashboard, then you will see how what are all the work items assigned to me. So if you see here 7 work items, that means there are 7 items which are pending for approval from my side, which is showing it here. So it will show what are my PTOs and what are my timesheets and what are all my next scheduled reviews and what are my performance goals, what is my compensation and all. And this is designed for each employee specific. And this is the workflow screen where if you click on that, and it will show me these are all the things which are pending for approval from me and when is the date they have created. And I can click from here and check that and do the approval from a single window screen. I don't need to go from each module and check what are all the things pending for my approval. So instead I can come to this space and check all my approvals in a single screen. So the same way I have showed you now the concept of the month end closing, and we also have a concept of year end closing the similar way how you wanted to do it. And you have to do all the transfers from the entities into the ledger accounts and the ledger account transfer to be done, and then you move ahead with the next financial year. So you can list down all the companies how you wanted the consolidation to happen for the year end closing. So and you can see all the dimension balances how you wanted to track. So you can close the balances from the dimensions, and or you wanted to take for a particular dimension, you can take it to the next year. So you will run this closing, and once you run this, it will create the balances for available for the opening balances in the next year automatically. So it's a very easy job. And after you have done the closing and you have any audit entries happening after the year end close, you can have a space where it allows you to post the entries in the year end entries, and all the entries can be posted there. And again, you can run the year end close, and which will transfer your audit entries along with the balances, and it will update your opening balances. Now coming to the tax, we have a different localization for the countries, and we have tax parameters concept. And when it comes to the tax, we have concept of sale tax goods and sale tax groups. So the code is basically which is linking with the tax group and the item tax group. So you can define the tax either based on the vendor customer level or based on the item level. So when you choose these kind of groups, and based on the combination, the tax code gets populated automatically by system, and it calculates the tax. So you define the group at the customer level. So if you see, these are my tax groups. So 5% is tax, or I wanted to track it by state wise. I can define that, and I will link a tax code with my tax group, and the same tax code is linked with my item tax group. So whenever there is a combination which selects the both, and the system will automatically pick the sale tax code. And in case in future, if there is a change in the rate of tax, so you no need to change all the setup, and you will give the particular tax code, and from that percentage to this percentage, and you can give a date range. So from that date, it automatically picks the new tax rate. Till the date, it will pick the old tax rate. So this is the ease of use for tax groups. Sorry. The same way we have sale tax groups where it is based on each item level. I can have multiple tax rates based on my multiple items. So there can be a different tax levels applicable. So in the Middle East region, I can see there's a fixed rate of tax which is there for 5% for VAT codes, but it is different in India and US region and European region, because that is based on your item. Whatever the item you select for the particular item, the tax code is different. So the same way we will set up that percentage here for the each tax code, and we link this to each item. And we have also the multiple capabilities. If you see, since I have selected the company India, so there are relevant setups and relevant forms which are related to GST are enabled. If you see here, the GST minor code, the GST details. So this is for an Indian entity, it gets automatically enabled. The localization feature is built. It picks up from the organization setup. When you create then legal entity, the system will ask you for which country. So based on that, that relevant localizations, that relevant forms, and that relevant tax setups will get populated automatically. And coming to budget, we have budget planning, budget control, and budget management without control. So budget planning is basically planning your expenses based past expenses or past revenues. You wanted to plan your existing budget based on that old data. So that is possible in the system. And we have the concept of ledger budget and the control forecasting and the budget planning. So the complete the budget cycle is covered in the budget module. So where is ledger budget is basically you define the budget for each ledger wise. We call it as main account level. And you also can define the budget based on each project level. And you can define the budgets based on the project fixed assets. And based on this, you plan your demand forecasting and cost accounting and inventory budgets, and finally the workforce management budget. So these all can be part of the budget. So once you have these features, we can enable the particular budget control. So let's go to this, and we can select what level of dimensions you wanted in the budget control. So out of, let's say I have 6 dimensions and I wanted to take for budgeting, I want to take only this 5 dimensions. So I can select that, and on that level, the control gets activated. So there is a control screen where you can set up the activate or turn off the budget control. So during the planning and during the register entries, you will either turn it off and post the entries. And once your entries are complete, then you turn on the budget. And in between, you wanted to revise a budget or increase or decrease the budgets can be done. And during that period, you just turn it off and post the entry and again turn it on. And what are all the over budget permissions? For example, I have the budget defined for particular main accounts and for all the users, but I still want certain users not to stop their activity, even though my budget consumption is more. So for that, I can set up the over budget permissions and I can set up a user group where these particular users, though my budget is getting exceeded, they will go ahead and post the entry. This is the budget register entry screen where you will set up the budgets for all the company, either based on the combination of main account and dimensions, or only for ledger account or for a dimension account. So you can set it up the budget for each level, either in the combinations. Okay, and then comes to budget planning workspace. So how do you want the budget planning to be done? So you can have a milestones prepared for the budget planning, initial budget preparation, department request, CFO review meeting, stakeholder review, and finally the budget approval. So you can set it up and see what stage you are in and how the planning is complete. And you can also have multiple budget plans for each department wise. You can request their personal planning to submit for the budget for their team, and you can see the status of it. Once it is submitted from that particular department, it will be submitted. After that, if the relevant person, whoever is in the hierarchy, approves it, it will change it to approved. And you can see the forecasting how you wanted. So you can set it up what is my level of forecasting and what is my future plans and how my sales is going to increase. Based on that, I set up the level of forecasting for my current expenses and I can decide. So these all can be configured here, and at what level I wanted my forecast to be positioned. And now when it comes to the budget module, so there is a periodic space where you run the budget planning from the either GL level or from the existing budget plan or the existing plan for a fixed assets. So this is the having the data for the old years. So the past financial data is being accessed and the current plan is being generated automatically in the system. And you can also see the multiple reports available in the system, which will tackle your actual versus budget report and by period and the financial reports. So if you click on the generate budget plan from the GL, so you will have to select for which period and for which account type I wanted to consider the budget, and just give a budget scenario and the plan name and which planning process and the responsible person. So once you select this, the system will automatically generate the budget for you. The planning is done here. Okay, now coming back to the cash and bank module. So we have how do you manage your bank accounts or cash accounts in this module is being I will explain. And we have 2 levels of reconciliations, either a manual reconciliation where you match row by row, or we have an auto bank reconciliation, which is frequently available with the most of the banks globally now. And a particular format will be retrieved, and that particular format we can directly import in the system. And I'll show much on that as well. And we have also the facilities management available in the cash and bank module. What multiple facilities is being offered by the bank are maintained in our F&O system. So this is our bank management workspace where a CFO or somebody can see all the level of bank accounts available in the system and what is my current balances and what is my pending balances and what are my bridge transactions where the checks were deposited and not get realized, or any pending transaction were under bridge transaction can be tracked from here, and which will give you the financial stability of the company at any point of time. So this is the bank account screen where you have the bank accounts and what is the bank balances, what is the actual account number, and where the main account is linked to it, and the particular transaction will go it. And here you have multiple currencies available for each kind of bank account, but in the system it will, when you go for a reporting, we have two different currencies where it will track the reporting currency where you have a accounting currency. So though it will have a different currency, you can get the reports in your currency where the entity is set it up. So in the bank account master, you will have to give the details of what is my main account number, which it has to get posted to all the ledger accounts and where I wanted. And you can set up where my, whether it is needed for a advanced reconciliation you wanted it or not, and which currency you wanted, or you wanted system to have multiple currency posting into your bank account, yes or no. So this is all my bank account setup. So if once you click on this advanced bank reconciliation, yes, so the feature of advanced bank reconciliation is enabled for this particular main account, bank account. And once that is done, you have an option to set up the advanced bank reconciliation where you define what is my criteria, how I wanted the system to do the advanced bank reconciliation and what are the rules it should consider. And either it is based on the transaction reference or check number, that all can be set up, can be done here. And it has many formats set it up, which will automatically be imported into the system, like BIA2 or MT940. Many such formats can be configured in the system. And when it comes to AP, we have vendor management and how you handle your PO invoicing and how to do the invoicing without PO and invoice submission through vendor portal. So when we come to this AP space, this is the module where you can see how to create a vendor. All vendors can be managed here. And if you wanted to hold a particular vendor, you can hold it and you can create the purchase orders and post the direct invoices, everything from here. Okay, so this is my vendor creation screen where I can maintain the what is the type of vendor, whether he is a individual vendor or a organization, or what is his address, what is his contact information. All the details can be captured here. And this is the vendor invoice entry screen where I can check for a particular vendor what are all my open purchases. I can filter by name wise or by vendor account, and I can see how much is my particular PO status, whether it is open order or I have received the material from them and I'm still yet to do a invoicing to them. So you can see based on this, you can see that 46 items are showing pending and 3 journals are there and 1 invoice pool is there. So you can also see the vendor invoices where there is direct invoicing option here available where without PO like an expenses like your electricity bill or your telephone bill or a cab bill which you wanted to enter in the system without an purchase order. So there is also an option to do that here. So there, this is one new feature which we have, vendor invoice automation. So where there is a capability of scanning your vendor invoice and system reads it with OCR capabilities and it automatically populates and creates the invoices in the system. I'll explain much about that in my later slides. And this is the vendor payment screen where you can monitor how many vendors pay run has been processed and how many vendors I'm still yet to pay. What is my due dates? So we also have this automation for payment as well. I'll discuss a little more in the payment sign. And we have accounts receivable and credit collections module where it takes care of your customers and the credit limit management and also the sales order invoicing and invoicing without sales orders and follow-up letters and receivable management. So this is my space for accounts receivable. I can create multiple customers and I can generate sales orders. And when there is a no sales order and I wanted to receive direct revenue, I can do use the free text invoices without a need for a sales order where I can directly book my revenue there. And you have an option for customer payment journal wherever there is a receipt you wanted to enter from a customer that can be used from the payment journal. And we have the periodic tasks and multiple reports available in the system. And we can also set it up the charges based on each level of customer. I wanted to charge for a particular level or based on a particular customer, I can define the charges, or for a particular amount I can define based on my bank charges. So the charges can be set it up at that level. And this is my all customer screen. I can define my credit limit for this particular customer to set it up the value. And once that those many invoices were posted against to it or a relevant sales orders are posted, so the system will automatically make this customer into hold, and further any more sales orders or invoices will not be created in the system. So you can set it up this credit and collections to each customer level. And this is my customer invoicing screen where I will see how many of the orders were shipped but not invoiced. I can see and I can track on a daily basis using this screen, and I will see, okay, what is the corresponding date it is. And if I wanted to do an invoice, I can directly do an invoice from here. And I can also create a free text invoice where there is no sales order, but I wanted to book a revenue and I wanted to post it. So in that scenarios, we will use a free text invoice. And this is the customer payment workspace where it will show me what are all the customer invoices are due as on the date. And it will show me there are payment journals created, but which are not posted, which means it is either through automation it has created, or we have created the journal, but actually we have not posted those. So it can see, you can see them here. And you can see with the space where how many customer invoices are due today and which are not yet received the payment. To do a multiple follow-up, you can use this. So this is the workspace where it will show me the customer credit and collections and what are all my aged balances balanced by state, where there is the promise to pay or promise broken or the POs or the say customer sales orders were processed. And I can define from here, okay, what my strategy to further do the business with that particular customer, yes or no, or I can make a hold of it. So there is a collection letter creation available in the system. So once you create the collection letter, and you can check all the collection letters and review them and get it posted. So these are multiple collection letters for multiple customers. And this is all collection activities. So for example, there is an overdue balance which I want to collect from a customer and follow up on a promise or follow up on overrun. Whatever you want to do to the particular customer, you can do it and check whether what is the priority, and each task can be managed here. And it will have a aging definition classified to it, and attachment based on that you can see the classification, what are my customers on due on that particular period of time. And now coming to the fixed asset module. So we have fixed asset master creation. And once you create the master, how do we acquire the asset and the depreciation process? And once the life of the asset is over, how do we disposal the asset either by selling or scrapping it off? So the fixed asset management, this is all the financial management of the assets, like when you use the machinery or buildings or all these vehicles and all. So these can be created as fixed asset. We have fixed asset module dedicated for this. So you can create the asset, and when you create the asset, that doesn't have any financial impact until you post a acquisition to it. So acquisition can be posted directly through a journal or by a purchase order. So you can create whenever you have a purchase order, you can select if that is related to a new fixed asset, yes or no, and select the group. So when you post a GRN, system will automatically create the asset in the system and you will get the number populated here. So once the invoice is posted to the purchase order, the system will do the acquisition for that particular asset. And once the asset is acquired, you will set it up the what is the life of asset and all things at the book level, which is mapped to the asset group. After that, when you go on every month and you need to just run the depreciation proposal, the system will calculate on its own what is the amount of depreciation for each asset, and it will create as many lines as you have the asset, and it gets created. There is no manual calculation of depreciation for each asset on your own and then need to enter the amount. So that is not at all needed here. In this case, the system will automatically do the calculation. You just have to verify it once whether all the balance is done correctly or all the new assets are being captured. And once it is done, you just click on post it. So this is the free text invoice. In case if I had to sell an asset, I will use the free text invoice and I will have to select the customer where I am posting, where I am selling the asset to, and select that particular asset. And the system, you have to put the how much price you are selling it the asset for, and the system will do the posting of calculation and do the profit and loss calculation on its own, and it posts to that particular asset. And what are all the other modules we have related to finance? So we have asset management, expense management, cost management, project accounting, subscription billing, and we have automations and AI Copilot features. So let me go through each one of them. So asset management, we have a different module where you manage your multiple assets and what is the process of it and where I'm incurring the cost and what work orders, job cards where I wanted to post to particular assets are all managed here in the asset management module. And you can process the work orders for a particular asset and what is the current cycle of it, what is the status, and how many are delayed, how many are not yet scheduled, what are all withdrawals. All this can be managed in the asset management. And we have expense management when you have multiple employees who is traveling on work to multiple locations based on their day-to-day expenses, how much per diems you are giving them, and what is their cost. Either you wanted to track it by giving them particular amounts, or you wanted to give a corporate cash cards or whatever you wanted to give them, and track their expense and register their expense reports, how much they have spent and how much is available to take as per their limit. On all these calculations can be managed here in the expense management. And we have the cost administration. You wanted to track what is my cost for particular legal entity to those items, how much is done, and when have I run the last close of the inventory, and if I have any adjustments to be posted, I have done it or not, and what is my data status. All these can be managed from cost management module. And we also have cost analysis status. So what is my inventory turn ratio and what is my inventory accuracy and how frequently I have run the inventory, and at any point of time am I running low of inventory. All this is managed here. And we have project management and accounting. If you have multiple projects where you wanted to do multiple activities and you can track the work breakdown structure of that project and see how what all the activities went in and do the costing at each level and do the invoicing or sales orders processed from the project itself to track the project profitability, and all is possible to using this project management and accounting module. And we have the subscription billing. So based on this, it will track your subscriptions and month-on-month billings and the revenue posting, revenue recognitions, and the deferral schedules, and all are being processed from the subscription billing module. And now coming to the automations are key for any business now. So what we have a process automation. This is a small automation setup we have done for the vendor payment proposal. And once the payment proposal I'm setting up, and let's say there are 4 or 5 invoices getting due today, the system will run the proposal on its own and it will create the automatic proposal and it will create the journal entry. But the system will not go ahead and post until you go and manually check, verify, and then post. Or you wanted to delete one particular vendor, I don't want to pay due to some X, Y, Z reasons. So you can delete that particular line and let other 2 vendors get posted. So this is where the each vendor journal is getting created automatically. And after that, you can see that particular vendor for which invoice is due, it is showing, and the bank account is also being picked up automatically. And we have the new solution which is available out of box feature, which is the invoice capturing. So the same feature which I'm explaining you for AP invoice automation, where you can have the PDF invoice received from a particular vendor, train that vendor fields to the OCR system which is available from Microsoft, and you will also do a mapping from which field to get mapped to where. And once you have done that and you register the new invoice from the same vendor, just need to scan it and system will automatically create the invoice journal created for you, either at a PO level or a direct invoice journal. So this is the new invoice capture screen available. So this is an application which is available. So you can do for vendor invoicing. So this is how the mobile view looks like. And then we have the new Copilot features, which is linked to the Dynamics 365 Finance. So this is the very new, the Chat GPT, which is modified and upgraded to the Copilot. And now these features are directly linked to Dynamics 365. So here, when you link that with finance as a offering, Microsoft is giving this Copilot features available for all the finance applications. So when you have these applications, for example, you wanted to classify your collections. So how do you rate this particular customer account? And you can see the AI itself does that all task reviewing and all the transaction reviewing for this particular customer. So you can see that is rating this particular customer as good. And it says that usually he pays on time, but on one invoice for this particular value, there is a defaulting done. So this kind of data thing, and the system will also have automatic emails generated from Dynamics 365. You can see that this is particular task and collection letter and invoice. All this data will be created by the AI Copilot, and it will be created on a click of a time. It will send an email. So these are all the features on the AI. So it will do the data analysis for you and it give you the full finance insights. And now coming to the reporting capabilities. So we have the cash flow forecasting system available, the report available directly in the system. So these are all powered by Power BI, but these are all offered as a standard solution itself along with finance. So you can see the cash position and when it is low and when it is high, and you can do the analysis based on this report, and you can see what are all my inflows and how my outflows are being done and in the system currency, and I can see all the transactions where it is impacting my cash inflows and outflows, and how I want what is my current balances by each legal entity wise, and what is my future forecast and what is my forecasted for currency balances, how I wanted the accrual versus forecast based on the bank balance. So these are multiple slicing and dicing available options in the same dashboard. So you can also see what is my total bank balance in accounting currency and at what period my balances are going up and where my cash balances are going very low. And I can do the tracking based on this. And this is my forecasted for a future period, and what is my daily forecasting, what are all my entries, how the prediction is being done. You can do that and you can use the filter options which is available, and how I wanted this for each company or I wanted to do for a particular bank account to see that. And this is all possible without going anywhere into the system and doing all that activity in an Excel. You can directly do this activity and which will help management to take relevant decisions based on the data. So this is one good dashboard on the cost administration and what is my inventory accuracy and what is my balances by site and how it is the change of the inventory, either increase or decrease by quarter level. And you can see the change for each item group level what is my accuracy, and what is my goal, what is my turnover ratio, what is my closing balances, where my inventory is lying at any point of time based on the period what I select here, and it will show me where my current inventory is staying at which location. And this is the top 10 inventory, top 10 increase in change, all your KPI related data. And this is your APC classification. So based on that, you can decide which item group is performing good and which item group is going good, and where my sales is happening more. And this is your sorry, and this is your trends. It will show you the inventory account analysis and what is the trend going up or high, and at any point of time. This is multiple periods, and you can do that quarter offset here. And you can manage the customer credit and collections here. Sorry. So based on the customer data which is available in the system, so the system is giving you the data, how much is available for close and what is my balances by each region. So you can see the collections happening from multiple accounts and what is the write-off, what is my expected payment for this period, and what is my past due for the last 30 days or 60 days. This all data is available based on the credit and collections module. So how much is your credit limit used versus what is the total credit limits available? This is all the relevant data for the customer and credit collections for multiple regions and their aging as well. So which company the aging balances are high, which company the aging balances is low, and per customer for per period by region wise classification. Sorry. So this is your working capital calculations. How much is your expenses against the budgets? What is your total revenue and what is your cash flow? How much is your inflow and what is your outflow? And what is the balance? And this is your trial balance actuals, showing it here. This is the overview by period and by region and by category. So this is the full cycle of all the customers. What are their revenues by each customer wise? It is highlighted with the each item group level and what is my customer balance due as of the date and for the period. So you have all the data available in a single click. So this is your trial balance report. So which shows what is my opening balance for this particular period, what is the debit, what is the credits, and what is the closing balances. By each category wise, you can see my sales and what is my COGS, what is my project expenses, what is my employee expenses, what are my AR inventory balances. So which shows all the asset and liability accounts. And we have an income statement which is showing all your P&L revenue expenses available here for this particular year. And we also have the actual versus budget report tracking all your expenses against the budget configured in the system for that particular year. What is my what is my sales and what is the budget and what is my final variances. So this is the budget also available with variances. What is versus budget last year and how my expenses are done from last year, how much there's a growth or there is a decreased trend or increased trend in my expenses. So there is one report also showing the 12-month trend income statement, whether my Q1 last year and Q4 last year has the growth or my expenses are getting lowered or my sales is going high or not. So all this tracking can be done from 12-month trend. So month on month, either by quarterly or monthly, the data is available for tracking here. So this is the expenses 3-year trend. So it will show how much is my trend for the 2020, 2022, and 2023. We can configure which years we wanted to compare. Based on that selection, it will tell me whether that particular expenses have the data used or not used. And this is the dashboard for fixed asset management, and where it shows all the data of what I have purchased during this period for this particular asset, how much money I have invested, and what is my acquisition value year on year, and how much is being disposed. And each fixed asset detail, like the transactional level also, if I wanted to see, I can check it from here. And this is on an overview of all the fixed assets. And this is for the ledger budgets and forecasting. Actual versus budget, and the revenue for actual versus budget for each legal entity is being classified here. So this is like the maintenance request management. So what are all the assets I have and what assets have the maintenance requests have come. So how my job orders or work orders are being processed by each level, and how much I have come from different department, where it is staying by trade or by request type, by maintenance job type, by life cycle state. So all this data is being linked up here. So this is my vendor payment space, where it will show me all the invoices due in future by cash discounted date, and how much invoices are being paid on time, and where there is a delay, and which invoices are being paid late, and what are all my discounts, and how much workflow is being processed for all the discounts. And this is analytics by each company wise. What is my due account, and per vendor group, what is the due in this particular vendor group to be paid. And this is my raw data, which has the invoices from each customer, which each vendor wise. And this is the analytics where it shows the discounts available, and what are all the invoices, and how the trend is going from the same period for future cash discounted and future due in the system currency. So as of the day, what is my due, and per vendor group, how much is the due, and what is the discount taken, what is the discount lost, per company wise, and per vendor group, the classification. So what are all the invoices, where if I click that, and it will show me which are the invoices which were paid late in the system, and what invoices, what are those invoices. You can click directly and check that particular invoice in the system directly. So this is on the side of vendor. And we have work order management, where you can see different multiple work orders with the different types. What are all the preventive work orders, what are all the safety work orders, and how much is my corrective, and by each functional area wise, and what type of asset my work orders are being assigned. You can see the percentage for each type, and how much work orders on the job group, how much is the more preventive maintenance that I have done, or how much is the corrective option so I have done. So this is on the side of work orders insights. You can see the multiple slicing, dicing on the period wise, or the type of work orders, on the state of work orders, and by each asset wise, and type of asset also. So this is it from my side. I'll now hand over it to Anish.
Sure. Thank you, Venkatesh.
Anish, Anish, before we go to the question and answer round, let me just launch a poll to for that if somebody have any specific requirements that they want to connect with us one on one, they can respond to it.
Sure, Anshul.
anything related to Dynamics 365, not just finance, for other modules as well. If you would like to have a one-on-one conversation with our experts, please do respond to this poll. We will reach out to you shortly.
So we did answer a lot of questions that we got in the chat window. But if you have any other questions, please raise your hand. We can unmute you so you can ask the questions directly to us. If anyone has any questions, please raise your hand and we can have you ask the question.
I think Seturaman has a question, so feel free to unmute and
Yes.
ask the question.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, Venkatesh, for taking us through. It was like a non-stop flight from Dubai to Sydney. Few questions. What is more relevant to this particular market? Uh, First one is on the landed cost component. Uh, we are the moment we are trying to implement Microsoft Dynamics. It's not that we have implemented. So I'd like to understand one thing. As we understand from the demos that we have seen so far, it gives two options. One is the estimation route, other one is the actuals route. So my question is, which one you would recommend as TSC, and how many of your customers are using the solution that's being provided, the landed cost from MSD is my first question.
Yeah, the landed cost module, which is very prominent these days. Every customer is using this, and we have seen multiple customers using this. So there is two approaches, which you said already. Either is it by the cost basis or estimate basis. But it is depending on the scenario and the business decision. So how you wanted to track your costing method and how you wanted the inventory costing to be happened based on your landed cost. So it's the business call. So we have the possibility of using both the scenarios in the system. So out of
But,
box from Microsoft.
but since you already say that it's not about the culture, you make it more user friendly, and you've been implementing for years or decades, you will know what is the
Yes,
best methodology to adopt, isn't it? The business in this region is more standard when it comes to these aspects. There are only 3 4 types of incoterms that they come across, and they all have
correct.
warehouses, one in Jebel Ali free zone and one in mainland kind of thing. So my question is, from all those complexities and then the nature of business, what is largely adopted? Okay, let's put it this way.
Largely adopted, I think, is the cost one, what I have seen through my
When you say
experience.
actuals
So
or estimation?
estimations.
Estimations, is it?
They do the reconciliation on the cost after the estimations are being posted and then analyze and what level of differences are being incurred. But
Mhm.
after that, they take a call, and there is an option by year on year also you can change it after you have done the period closing for this particular year, and you can
Mhm.
decide for the next year you wanted to change or you wanted to use the same way.
So my question is, when there is a difference between this estimation and actuals, where it
Yes.
goes and hits?
So you can have a setup where you wanted this particular GL to be hit when there is a difference between this GLs. So the particular account can be mapped in the landed costing posting profile. So there it will get hit.
That's one thing. Accounting is something, yeah, that's we can decide, but where you normally suggest to park it, as an expense or leave it in the balance sheet?
So ideally, it should be an expense.
We take you to the expense.
Yes, because you have already incurred that particular cost for that period.
Mm,
That there is a multiple other terms comes in the IFRS way how to do it, and for the reporting purpose based on each country specific there is a different way, and we have gaps, generally accepted accounting principles across the globe, so that this all comes into picture and then they take a decision how to do it.
all right.
And there are
Whether
auditors like firms like PwC and Big Four auditors where they drive you and decide, they will let you know this is the way you are supposed to do and the practices, global practices.
Fine. The other question on the same landed cost component is something very unique to this part of the world. Like they
Okay.
do have a mix of back-to-back business orders as well as the inventory orders, and all of them will come to your location for either cross-stuffing or many other reasons, and then it goes out. In such cases where it's back-to-back, if you want to see the true profitability of that order alone, how that is managed in MS Dynamic?
So you have a shipment level tracking available in the system where you manage how much of the inventory is there in this each shipment or a vessel, and then you decide what is the cost incurred to it and what is my selling price at a item level, and you arrive
Mhm.
at the costing for the item and then you do the profitability.
That's at the time of placing the order also. My question
Yes.
is, I have item which
Okay.
is in my inventory. I'm also
Mhm.
ordering an item which is specific for a customer.
Okay.
Now, while quoting for this particular customer, the price that I'm getting from the supplier is say X.
Okay.
But the challenge is when I bring it to my inventory, this X will change because it gets averaged out, correct?
Correct.
But I want it to be the back-to-back, whatever I have been agreed at the time of sales order level. I want the same thing to continue till I've closed it, and then the profitability should reflect finally the same thing that has been agreed at the initial stage.
Yeah, you can set it up. So there is multiple costing methods available and you can set it up these particular items. I wanted to get it tracked this way. You set up a
When you say
different item
costing
model group.
methods, what are those costing
Yes.
methods?
So we have a standard costing available, FIFO, LIFO, and weighted average, multiple
But if you
methods
go by the
available.
standard, I can't
Yeah,
change my costing methodology. I have to adopt one. I can't change it for a transaction
correct.
unless it's completely a different use or different product.
No, no, it's not at a transactional level. You can definitely not change it. Either you can decide on the item level or item group level,
No, the
whatever the
standard
method you
doesn't
want to.
allow, from the accounting standards perspective, it doesn't allow you
Okay.
to change the costing methodology depending on the nature of transaction.
Yeah, true.
Venkatesh,
That's what. Yeah,
can I add to that, Venkatesh?
Yes, yes, sir.
yes,
Hi.
please.
Yes, Yogesh.
And in this type of scenario, if you are doing a back-to-back order, like if you're creating a purchase order from a sale order, then
Mhm.
system there is a functionality called linking. So system will automatically link this purchase order to a sale order, and the cost
Perfect.
it directly take it from the purchase order. Let's say maybe you are airlifting one shipment, the cost may be high. Maybe we have a separate agreement with the customer saying that it will be at a high price something. So in this scenario, when you're doing a back-to-back order, system will not do an average out. It will take exactly the cost of that shipment to the sales. So it will be linked together.
I
In fact,
fully
there is
agree,
a
sir.
fun.
This will
Yeah,
work very well for third port shipments. But when
correct.
it comes to
Dropshipping.
certain type of transactions where it will hit my warehouse, it has to go through my warehouse to my customer. Example, I'm doing the clearing. For this order, the
Correct.
delivery terms are DDP example. I'll be clearing
Okay.
that, bringing to my inventory location and then deliver it further. In that case,
In that case, there is the first thing is system will go with whatever the costing principle which we set it up, like it will be weighted average or first in first out. It will take that, but there is a provision is called in the system. We call it as a settlement. So we can settle a particular outgoing sale order to a particular receipt. So in that case, system will settle one to one. But there is a manual intervention is required because system doesn't know whether this need to be settled direct. There is a provision, a functionality and provision available in the system, but
manual
as I said,
intervention
manual
again
intervention
is are we allowing
required.
the users to, then it the
So
core
with a
functionality
proper
fails, right?
with proper privileges only, because otherwise when a system when an inventory comes to my warehouse, it will average out normally. If you're using an weight average
That's what
cost, it
I'm
will,
asking. That's the
yeah, it's
question that I
average
have.
out. So is there any exceptional required for a particular order? Then we need to do a, what you call it, as a manual intervention. Or what we can do is maybe we can go at a batch level. Like for us, when if your items is coming to my
Again, batch
free
level
zone,
is
it is
by
a,
changing the costing methodology. It doesn't, standard doesn't allow. That's where the challenge is.
like if you tell like a bill of lading is my costing, like at a bill of lading level we are going to do the costing,
And that's like
then it
either
will be,
it'll become a last in first out or a first in first out methodology, isn't it? Because my if I take my inventory, I'll have 10 batches. Each batch will have its own costing, and I'll pick
correct.
up that cost for taking the cost inside. Standard doesn't
Yes.
allow that, and it creates a confusion within the organization. People try to pick up the batch which gives more profitability. So the one which is not efficient will stay as is.
Yeah, no,
Those are the
because
challenges you will
that
have.
that the
Yeah.
warehouse level they won't be knowing the cost on this thing,
No,
right?
but
This
the
batch
sales are
batches.
very smart in picking up. They'll come to know over a period of time. That's
Okay.
something batch is not the best
Well, sir,
solution, I would say.
only two method. Either we need to set a costing method. That costing method also Microsoft allows to set it at different level, like on my warehouse
And that's
level, on my
fine. That I
location batch
appreciate
level,
that. It might suit
and
the US gap, it might suit some other country. But if you
yeah.
go strictly by IFRS, then it doesn't allow. That's my question. Fine, I'll
So
park it. So point
otherwise,
noted.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
All right. Other thing on the only two questions on the cash management. I know it's BRS is not a very crucial thing, but since you touched upon that, there are many formats available. Even if we pick up one of those formats to do the auto reconciliation, obviously manual reconciliation is something getting rolled out. That's a very old methodology. What's the percentage of reconciliation that we can get it out of the auto reconciliation? And how tedious is to maintain that? And how regularly we have to maintain those auto bank reconciliations to get the most out of it?
See,
I'm sure
usually
most of the
90
companies
to
here, why I'm asking this is most of the companies, the large corporates, they have multiple bank accounts, multiple currencies, and that's where the challenge is. If it's one or two bank accounts, yeah, it's something, a cakewalk.
See, you need to have to work on with your bank to make sure that particular data is populated in that particular field, and you do the mapping once for life and it is done. But I cannot guarantee you that 100% of transactions get through the auto advanced bank reconciliation. You can keep it at the number as 90 to 95, but still there are like bank charges, so small entries which needs to be identified one on one and to be done. So those you have to manually again post the entry, but in the same screen you can do it, but that is very negligible, I can say. But with the amount of effort what you are doing it with the advanced reconciliation, so the number of transaction we left out are very negligible.
Fine. I think one last question on the credit facilities management. So do you put it in the list? It was something not discussed. So my question, what we understood in the demo so far is the treasury module placeholders are there in the basic standard of MSD, but when it comes to really utilizing them, that needs customization. I'm talking about the typical trade finance credit facilities that is adopted by this region in terms of handling LCs, trust receipts, bills discounting. Banks give many types of lines for many purposes, and utilizing them, tracking them, settling them, interest cost accrual, all those stuff is not readily available. It needs customization. Is my understanding correct?
Yes, because the current solution which is not exactly catering to that level of requirements at this point of time, but there are solutions which were
So is
developed
anything expected in the
specifically.
near future is my next question.
Uh, as of now, in the release notes, I cannot see anything
There's
which
a lot
is
of
there.
slides coming out about generative AI. We are modernizing it, but the basic functions are not addressed yet. That's my question. And we have no visibility on when those things, because this resulting in either a customization or a dependency on a ISV, which is costly for any organization, isn't it? In terms of maintaining, integrating.
Yeah, being a partner, we can put that word to Microsoft. Maybe we can expect something from them in
Uh,
future. And there is also a Dynamics website where it says you can put your ideas there. So Microsoft Dynamics ideas. So if your idea gets enough votes and globally people require it, and it gets picked up automatically by Microsoft.
Anyone in this, since the 40% of the audience have already implemented, anyone using BRS or the facilities which is working fine for them, you want to take a poll? I would love to see it, but the floor is under your control. I'll pass on to the next person who is raising the hand. Thank you so much, Anish, Venkatesh, and Shobhichan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sithiram.
Thank
And
you.
I would like to add one more point also coming since you discussed on the BRS. We have few customers on the money exchange systems. So they are dealing with hundreds of banks. So we
Mhm.
created a system for auto reconciliation from Excel and CSV, but that we have developed internally because for those companies, getting all the bank statement in the MD940 format was a hassle. So we created a very more user-friendly in using the Excel and CSV
So
for
don't
the bank
mistake me.
reconciliation.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm I'm I hate Excel. If you go back
Okay.
to Excel, then we are
Yeah.
so inefficient. That's my view of seeing it. The ERP
Yeah.
is functional and effective. We should
Yeah.
get out of Excel. If someone has to be really
True.
efficient, burn all the Excel licenses, the whole organization will become efficient. Trust me.
Now this MT940 format, that is, we can do an automation like whatever we are getting from bank, we don't need to do a manual thing. Like if it is coming to a specific folder in the system can automatically pick it from there and do a reconciliation. And
Understand.
then
So
the
more
question
of the
comes,
logics
yeah,
of we can put those logics, how it
correct,
connects to my transaction is where the challenge is, right? Example,
true,
if I'm making a payment through my system and host to host connected example,
yes,
then my payment vouchers are getting loaded into the banking system. There is some kind of common reference the system can talk to, right? Then I can
true,
put a lot of logics. When it comes to incoming receipt, there is no link between my bank and my system. I can't allow the system to post my receipt also, right? So it's more to, I need to understand how the system can link these receipt and the transaction in the bank statement and then do the reconciliation. And as you know very well, it's not that the sender's description or the name in the bank statement will always match with our customer database. There's always different. It's always a
okay,
challenge. So that's where I have a doubt how we can achieve 90-95%. This can be done only you continuously keep maintaining this. Everything that's coming every month, new things will keep on cropping up. You'll have to keep adding them to the logic. That's how it can be maintained. Otherwise, over 2-3 months time, the percentage of reconciliation will gradually reduce, and you'll stop doing the BRS using the system after 5-6 months. It needs maintenance. That's my point. It's not that
yeah,
it's
correct.
good to
It needs
have.
maintenance. Yes,
It needs tremendous maintenance to have it done through the system. Is my point. This is what I understand. So I hope that's it's correct. Yeah.
yes.
All right. Thank you
Okay,
so much.
thank you, sir.
We have a question from Christian. Christian, if you could unmute your mic, you can ask your question.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Good day, everyone. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. Though my first, I know this is we are talking about the finance module of the 365, but my question is think is on the employee management and HR module. My question is does this solution the 365 business center sorry, does they have the capability to do end-to-end recruitment processes, beginning from job advert to selection of candidates to scheduling of interview and onboarding. I don't know if you can provide me maybe a little to this.
Yeah, as part of the HR module, the entire employee life cycle from hiring to hire to retire cycle that gets covered as part of HR, including payroll processing, onboarding, recruitment, learning, performance appraisal. Everything is covered. We did a session on HR and payroll in November last year. We can share the link with you. And if you have follow-up questions, if you want a separate session to be um, done with our HR consultant, we'll be happy to schedule that. So after this meeting, we'll send you the link to the last event that we did on HR and payroll.
Okay, so that would be wonderful. I'm expecting the link, and also I would like to schedule that section to get proper insight into this because we are looking to deploy this um for a client, and then I'll need as much information as possible. So I'll be expecting the link to the recording for the HR and payroll module, and then the session where I can ask my questions regarding the employee management and the recruitment management.
Sure. We have question from Emmanuel. Emmanuel, you can unmute and ask the question.
Okay, thank you. Good day, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm currently sitting in the DR Congo, but we are based in South Africa here.
Sure.
I posted a couple of questions regarding the budget control issue. So if I've also requested a one-on-one with a list of other issues that you may help us with. So on
Sure.
the budget control thing, just a quick one on that one. We are facing situation whereby if you activate control, say at the beginning of the year, and you start processing documents as procurement documents such as purchase requisitions, purchase orders, say in January, and you leave it in pending approval stage, then you close your January, go to February, you are not able to proceed with the processing of that document unless you put it to draft and resubmit it so that it refreshes the accounting distribution dates. Don't know if you guys have faced this issue or is this new to you? Are we doing something wrong? I'm not so sure.
This is the standard way system behaves. So I got your question. So it was clear the question. So I will check it in the system. Is there any configurations we can do it? Because there was a latest change in the recent updates from Microsoft on the budgeting module. Also, there are a few things they change it. So the scenario which you explained is this standard behavior. So, but we will check this, check the possibility, and we'll get back to you. So we got your question clear, and allow us some time. So we'll check and then we'll get back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We have one more question from Mr. Martian. Let me just.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can unmute
allowed.
yourself.
Yeah.
Yes, hi, Anish, myself, Marshan here with you. Thanks for
Hello,
this
Marshall.
session. It was quite informative. Thank you for this session. Well, I got some inputs from my side as well, which needs to be getting clarified from you, Anish. As I was getting to have a discussion less a few minutes back from Mr. Sethuraman with regards to the LCM methodology, what we adopt. So in this scenario, I just want some clarification. Does Microsoft Business Central have a, a module meant for the costing purpose? Like we have a scenario wherein the use cases like we have some provisions to be done for the shipments which come on in the future date. And we need to make a provision on the costing. And based on the charges on a provisional manner. And then when we actually book the AP invoice against the costing components, which was made provision during the receipt time, we have to the variance of the actuals and the provision needs to taken up accordingly when we close our books for the month. So is there any module available is my question, which is like a standard module from Business Central?
See that the demo which we have conducted is on finance and operation, and see Microsoft offers different ERPs. Business Central is one, and what we showed demonstrated today is finance and supply chain, and earlier called finance and operation. So these two are two different set of like ERPs. So Business Central, to my knowledge, there is no functionality for doing the provisional costing. In F&O, like which we demonstrated, yes, there is a provision because there is a module introduced by Microsoft 2 years back. It is called landed cost module, where we can do a provisional costing, and when you get the actual bills, we can do the actual bill, like we can post an AP invoice, as you rightly said, and we can do a reconciliation. So Business Central, this functionality is not available.
So Business Central doesn't have the standard module as such. Okay.
No,
so we need to go with F&O. Okay.
F&O for this.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We still have 4 minutes. If anybody has any questions, they can raise their hand. And yes, we have one. Yes, Brink, I've allowed your mic. You can unmute and ask your question.
Good afternoon. My name is Lynette. I'm from South Africa. I would just like to know regarding fixed assets. I've seen what you've said regarding fixed assets. What happens when you count your assets? Can you actually can you scan your assets with a scanner and a barcode, and then thereafter create the file and pull it into the system and have a file which says to you, for this location, for instance, you have not scanned the following assets, or this asset has moved from one location to the other, and then you can either accept the changes or deny the changes, and thereafter update the fixed asset register with the correct locations, for instance.
Yes. So to your answer your question, yes, partially it is available. We have a fixed asset module in the system. There we can generate the barcodes. So each fixed asset can have a barcode, and fixed asset will be allocated to a location. So the allocation is also having a barcode. So the barcode printing functionality is available, but what is not available is like a counting of fixed asset, like a fixed asset counting. You scan the fixed asset and then you populate what is the differences, or transfer the fixed asset from one location to another using scanning the barcode. So this functionality is not available, but barcode printing is available.
and we can track the asset to a location, also physical location. So for two of the customers, we have developed this functionality of counting the barcode. Like once the barcode is printed, you can scan the barcode and the data will be populated to a screen where you can see the differences, understand the differences, and we can post that. So through a customization mode, you can get all the full functionality. But if you go with the standard, you will get the functionality of printing the barcode and attaching to a particular location.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lynette. Anish, if
I
there
think
are
we are
no
up
more
on time.
questions.
Yeah. If you don't have any more questions, we will wrap up this session. Okay, thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining.
Thank you. If you have anything else for us, please do. We have posted our email ID and number. You can call us or email us, and we'll reach out to all the people who have responded with a separate session. Thank you again for your time, and we look forward to your participation in our future events. Good day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.